welcome back to the channel, and today I'm going to go out my nap for day one of the Aintree Grand National Festival, and it comes in the 220, the 4-year-old Juvenile Hurdle. It's a Grade 1, but I don't think there's many Grade 1 horses in this race apart from the favourite Pied Piper, who at even money I think will take the world of beating, and comes from this after finishing third in the Triumph Hurdle. And that path of heading from the Triumph Hurdle to this race has worked out very well over the 8 years. If you think of horses like Pentland Hills, Deafy Desoy, Apples Jade, have all ran in the Triumph Hurdle and gone on to win this race. You think Pied Piper, it's the logical step for this horse to go to this race after running so well at the Cheltenham Festival in the Triumph Hurdle, and I think he'll take the world of beating in this at even money. And even though some people might not take odds that short, I still think even money is some pretty good value. Would have this horse maybe a 4 to 6 shot. I think he's that far clear of the other horses in the race. Now this horse came from the flat after being trained by John Gosden as a younger horse, was rated 89 towards the end of its career, and its last run was off 89 in a handicap where he won by 4 lengths. So after that he would have been up near the hundreds. So he's a very good flat horse, and he's had 3 starts over hurdles, and he's transitioned and probably improved a bit for jumping hurdles as well in the move to Gordon Elliott. He's had 3 starts, first 2 of them won. He was very impressive on debut, where Gordon Elliott said he was only 80% fit, and he still managed to beat Vauban, who might have been unlucky on the day. I came away thinking Vauban would be the better horse in time, but Pied Piper showed a very good attitude when only 80% fit that day, and he was one to definitely keep an eye on for me, although even though Vauban was the better in time, I think. Now his next one was at Cheltenham on good ground, so there might have been a question mark or two over the good ground. That proved no problem at all, and he put in a very visually impressive win by 9 lengths in the JCB. It was a Triumph Trial Hurdle, and he just made a mockery of all the English horses. He won on the bridle for Davy Russell, and he wouldn't ride an easier win all season. He was that good. Then he headed into the Triumph Hurdle, finished third in the end, beaten a couple of lengths by Vauban and just the neck behind his stablemate Phil Daw. But I think that was another very good performance. He travelled strongly into the race, and he just couldn't peg back Phil Daw and Vauban, who probably got the first run on him. He was caught in behind. He came there strongly under Jack Kennedy, and he stayed on strongly enough up the hill. Jack Kennedy didn't give him the hardest of times once he knew that he was going to be beat, probably with this in mind, that he was going to be running just in about 20 days time, which he will be when he heads to the start on Thursday. Now I just think this horse is so far clear, and if you look at the Triumph Hurdle itself, if you look with 2.5 furlongs to go, we had Vauban, Phil Daw, Pied Piper, Porticello, Iser Elan, L.A. Toms and Dr. Parnassus. There was all within a couple of lengths of each other, and the first 3 just pulled so far clear of everything else in the race. There was, as I say, heading down to the final flight of hurdles, there was just a couple of lengths between 5 or 6 horses, and come the line, the front 3 pulled a long way clear, and I think that just shows that there's 3 standout juvenile hurdlers this season. Pied Piper's one of them, Phil Daw and Vauban are the other 2, and he doesn't have to contend with them today, so I don't see which horse is going to be good enough to beat him, considering Brazil, who is second favourite, actually has been beaten by Iser Elan before comprehensively as well. He's also been beaten a few times by horses like the Tide Turns and Ben Siegel. None of them are world workers, and I just think Brazil might just be a good handicapper and maybe not up to winning a Grade 1 Juvenile Hurdle. Now he did impress in the Boodles. Any winner of the Boodles is impressive, because you've got to be a long way ahead of your handicap mark to win it. But just maybe this year, you think, with the ground as soft as it was, they were strung out like washing lines, and you just think that quite a few of the horses just didn't go in the ground, and Brazil was one of them that did, and he managed to win just beat Gaelic Warrior, who didn't jump that well at all throughout. He was probably an unlucky loser. Also HMS Seahorse in 4th. Now that horse didn't have the best run of the race and was hampered a couple of times around, so I think he was probably unlucky, and I think if them 2 didn't have them issues, they probably both would have beaten Brazil. So I think in another year Brazil wouldn't be winning this race, winning the Boodles. And there's also a bit of a concern about running in the Boodles, then heading to this race. The last time a horse did that and won was in 2015, so not many horses can do it. That was all yours back in the day. There have been a few that have run well since. In 2017, Divine Bever ran well in this, having been second in the Boodles, I think it was, and then finished second in this. But on the whole, you need a classy individual to win this, like the Pentland Hills, Steffi Desoy, Apples Jade, who ran in the Triumph and ran in this. And I just think Pied Piper is just going to be a little bit too good for Brazil on the day. Now, if you look at some of the other horses in the market, well, they don't really inspire that much enthusiasm for me, for sure. If you look at the third favourite, who's Petite Tiner, I think it's pronounced, for the John Joe O'Neill team, well, that horse isn't going to be a world beater. It's got an official rating of 138, but I think that's generous enough, because it only managed to beat a horse rated 108 by a couple of lengths in a handicap at Market Race, and then it didn't do it that impressively for me. I think this horse is going to be found out at this level. Then next in the market, you've got horses like Night Salute, who are very good for connections. I'd love to own the horse myself, but it's just not up to winning a Grade 1. Was readily left behind, beaten about 15-16 lengths in the Triumph Hurdle when they crawled around as well, and he was off the bridle a long way out. He was never got involved. He's got no chance here, and the rest of them, a few of them ran in the Boodles, ran okay, but for me it's probably going to be a 2-horse race between Pied Piper and Brazil. I think them two will pull a long way clear, but I do think Pied Piper at even money is a very good bet for the Thursday. Hopefully set us up nicely for the week ahead. I've got a preview coming of the rest of the races, I should say, on the Thursday coming soon, so make sure you do keep an eye out for that. But for me, the nap of the day is Pied Piper in the Juvenile Hurdle at even money. I think you can double your stake, and that's pretty good for a horse that has a very, very good chance of winning. So thanks a lot for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and I'll see you next time for a preview of the Thursday.